How to make a memorable trance melody? That is a $1 million question. There are melodies that stood the test of time and now we call them classics. So how are these melodies made? That's what we're gonna look at today. Let's go! Today we will look at 10 different melodies made by some of the legendary artists like Ferry Corsten, Finary, Above and Beyond, Jan van Dahl, and many more. We will be using Jupiter 8005 from Arturia because I also wanted you guys to hear those melodies in their original sound. A good melody usually starts with a riff, and the riff is like a repeating pattern of notes that you can loop over and over, and it creates that energetic drive of the melody. Every good trance melody has its distinctive riff. If you want to know more about trance riffs, check out the video in the corner. By the way guys, make sure to stick around till the end because I'm gonna show you my secret recipe on how to always make a great melody anytime you want. The first track we're gonna do is from Signum and Scott Mac called Coming On Strong. We're gonna create a 1-bar MIDI, and here you see this is all separated by 16ths, so you can fit in 16 little notes within 1 bar or 4 beats. So we're gonna place the first note, then we're gonna skip 2 notes, and then again skip 2 notes, and then we're just gonna repeat this. Let's change our scale to A minor, push the scale button so we only see the scale. Highlight all these notes and then shift them 1 octave up and 1 note to the right. Now this melody is very special because it not only uses 1 note to play the melody, but it uses 2 notes at the same time. So it sort of plays like chords. And what is the chord in A minor? Well, basically you always fill out the second and the third. It's called A minor chord. We are not gonna need the top note, we are only going to need this C. So I'm gonna highlight all of these and again just copy them over here, and this is the basic riff for our melody. This melody is going to be 8 bars long, so I'm just going to make this long and join this. The first bar of each section is going to stay the same. That's gonna ensure that we have some sort of repeatability in the melody. But what's gonna happen is that over here, this note is going to go up by 2 notes, and it's just gonna use the C and E. And then this last one is just gonna go 1 down. This creates a little bit of tension because this is not part of A minor, so it needs to be resolved. And what's the best way to resolve the melody? Well, back to the A minor. And now we're just going to repeat this twice. On the second iteration of the melody, we're going to highlight everything and push it 2 notes down to the F. Now you're going to highlight these 2, do the same thing as we did at the start, but we're going to remain with this note over here, so it repeats itself. And at the end, we're gonna do this a little bit differently because we need a change. Change is very important because you sort of take people out of that loop and bring something new before coming back to the loop. For this, Signum did something very unexpected, and he moved these little notes over here, which you can see. It's this note with this note, so we have a resolution because it's now part of a chord. And then he took this one and put it right up here. But it wouldn't be all. The melody sounds very bright, so we're gonna shift this all 1 octave lower, highlight these notes, copy, paste, and shift up. And now we have the full melody of Signum Coming On Strong with Scott Mac. So for the next one, let's do the Superstring. You probably know this one made by Cygnus X. Now this melody doesn't really use pluck notes. It uses long sustained notes to evoke that like super energetic melody that is coming out of the rhythm. This time it's going to be 4 bars long. We are not using A minor for this one. We will be using something called F Lydian. A Lydian mode, it's like F and all the white keys are basically still in the same notes, just the root changed. So what is the riff in this one? We're going to change this now to 8 notes. Because the first note is just going to be right here, and it's going to be 1 beat long. Then we're going to skip and add 1 more, and again skip, add 1 more, and again skip and add 1 more. But this time we're going to make it shorter and then add 1 more over here. And now before we do anything, I'm going to shift it down by an octave. Let's play this riff. We're going to be using chords again to create this full melody. So what is the F Lydian chord? We skip 1, boop, boop, and we have the basic chord. To trance it up, we're just gonna take this middle note, always the middle note of a chord, and shift it 1 up. It just gives you such a great feeling. Just to spice it up a little bit more, I'm gonna add one more note here to the bottom, so we get some bass into it. The melody is made in a very simple way. It just builds itself up. All you do is just shift these notes up, and then this notes up. And then the riff just continues back to the original, to this position, and one more time we skip. There will be one more note at the end, like this. But it's gonna go into the G, and we need to close this melody down. If it would be playing still the same pattern and rhythm, it's just gonna be sounding the same. The best way to close it down is to play your bass note as your top note in the end. This is what closes the melody down and just gives you that awesome resolution. So how do we do that? I'm gonna keep that G where it is, then we're gonna add one more note here and one more note here. But instead of shifting this one up to the B, we're gonna go down to the G. As I said, the bass note is gonna be the top note. And I know that in this melody, this note is way longer. To make it a little bit fuller, let's add one more note down here. This one's supposed to be here. And I think it's time for some arpeggiated rhythm. Next one is going to be Fragma, time and time again. Again, we're going to be using A minor. And what is the easiest arpeggiated melody? Well, in trance, this is the one that everybody uses until now because it just sounds so good and it has that syncopated rhythm. That means that note over here is not on the beat, but it's always lacking like one note. Let's put it one octave lower. To create the easiest melody is to follow the chords, remember? I'm gonna take this, put it right up here, which plays that A. So what is the next chord note here? Well, that would be C to the E. But that would be too obvious, right? So how about we take the first half and put it one note down, so we sort of create a connection between these notes. Now we're gonna do the same one on the next bar. So I'm gonna move this to F, one down, or we can just take this rhythm. And this time we're not gonna use the F over here, but we're gonna go straight to the A. And similarly what we did over here, we're gonna create some more tension by just taking this one note down. Then we're gonna continue going down because now we're gonna go to D. So as you can see, the melody basically goes two notes down. So from A to F, from F to D. So it like follows that beautiful structure. To get a memorable melody, we need to repeat the pattern. So we know it's gonna be one bar, half, and half. So I can just copy this and do the same as we did before. See, we are over here at D. So this time we're gonna go to D and F. So we have that continuous way down. But then over here, instead of going up, we're just gonna go half down and then back to the original position. And we're gonna finish up again in F because why not, right? So F, that's gonna continue right here. And we're gonna just give it a huge climax again by growing this all up. What we did, we have a basic chord playing A, then over here we jumped up to the higher parts of the chord, we stay in the higher parts of the chord, and then to close it down you can see that these notes are basically part of the same chord, just the bass changed. That's why this change over here is just gonna keep beautiful tension before it climaxes up. Before we play it, I'm gonna move these notes to their position so we have that arpeggiated melody. Now let's see how this full melody is gonna sound. This next melody is one of my favorites of all time. Jan van Dahl, Castles in the Sky. By the way, guys, let me know in the comments, what are your most favorite trance melodies of all time? I'm really excited to hear what you love. So don't be shy, comment below. Now the rhythm is gonna be a little bit similar. We're gonna start with the first note, again skip two, but this time we're not gonna fill in this one, we're gonna fill this one right here. So we have a little bit of a change. But let's put it one octave lower. Now you might be asking, what is the bass note of this? Well, the bass note is A, we are in A minor. But what we're gonna fill in are these notes in the bottom right before the next note, and that's gonna just repeat itself. It's going to be the simplest way because we're going to be just playing chord melody. Chords are as follows. Right here, we're going to go to the E. Then over here, we're going to duplicate this, go up to the F for the entirety of this. And I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times. Then over here, we're going to go to the G. We do a little change here. In this first half, I'm going to go to the C note. And then we stay in that E and continue with F. So what we're doing here, if you look at this, we start with A, playing the top note C. So what do you think is going to be this one? Well, from D, the second one would be G. So we got that G in there. Then over here we are in F. So of course we're going to be playing here A. what do you think would be this one? It could be either B or D. Well, we want to build this up, so we're gonna go into the D. Then we have the note C, which of course would be E as the next note. And then we will just continue whatever we have here. So let's go down here and like this. So this is the absolute basic of the melody. Remember in the previous one, I showed you something which is connection. How about we connect these notes together? And we only have two notes here, so let's do it this way. And now let's see if we have a good connection. By the way guys, all the sounds that you're hearing in this video are part of my newest Jupiter 8000 preset pack. You can pre-order it now on readyformasterclass.com. It's coming out in the end of this month. If you don't want to wait, all the sounds from this video are now on my Patreon. You can download it right away with the project and all the MIDIs and all the presets. And this way I want to thank to all my Patreons for all the support. Without you guys, these videos would not be possible. So I really thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's go for the next melody. This one is gonna be a little bit more complicated, but in the end, it's just gonna give you goosebumps. Now the riff starts with the first note, then we add one more, then we skip one, then we add one more, and again, and we basically do this till the end. And we add one more right here. Now we're gonna go down to A2, so we have a good pitch. In this track, the melody starts at the note C. Then over here, we're gonna out to the B, then to the C, and you guessed it, the next one is going to be D. But here something changes, and this note is gonna follow, and these two notes are gonna go up here. And of course, something is missing, and that's the bass note. Fill out all the missing notes here in that to create that arpeggiated rhythm. Now we're gonna continue, but this time this note is gonna stay over here, and we're gonna skip one. We're gonna leave that F, B, and then we're just gonna build it up, keep on going up until you get right here. That's where we're gonna stay and go back down, and the bottom is just going to continue. The only thing that we're gonna change over here is these two notes. I'm just gonna swap them so it goes like this. So what happened now is that we build this over an octave. Now we need to go back down so we can calm down the melody. Let's make it a little bit bigger and let's change the riff tiny little bit. The bass is now going to be in G. The first note is going to be D, then we're going to go up here, and then we're going to go down here. We're going to repeat that one more time, but this time we're going to go a little bit lower to A. So if you look at these notes as they go down, you have D, then you have the C, and you have the A. So what would be the next note then? If we go sort of like opposite way, you have E, D. So the next one over here, if it skip one, it's gonna be B. That's like the way how this melody was built. It always sounds good if you just go sort of like this crisscross notes. Then we continue right here, back down, and then we finish off with these two notes right there. Now, all we need to do is fill out the middle notes. So let's do it. And again, we're just gonna be playing chords. So the next one is going to be B right there, and we're just gonna move it right here and swap them, because over here we did it the opposite way where the top note goes first. And now all we need to do is just to copy and duplicate it. Because Ferry Corsten is a magician, this wouldn't be all. What he does over here with this note, he starts in the note E in the middle, so he goes for the third one, and then he shifts into the A. So it's like the original note right there. I'm telling you, it's a very complicated melody, but it gives you so much easiness when you listen to the full picture. But, of course, because he's going up, we're gonna play it octave higher. And then he's gonna do basically the same thing, but the first note over here is going to be the C note, and in the end, he's going to finish at G, which is right there. You always can see where you are. It's gonna move right here. Okay, what is the bass doing? Well, over here, the first note is going down to the D. Then the next one just keeps on going, and then he finishes in F and up to the G. So it sort of like builds it back up. I really love that when you build up the melody. This bottom note over here, that's gonna stay where it is. The D over here is going to change into the A, and these notes over here are gonna go from C to the D. To make a full picture of this melody, let's shift this bass one octave higher, and now we can play the full melody. So as you can see, a pretty complicated melody, but when it plays together, it gives you this beautiful picture of tension and release, and it just works really well. So to give you a breather, we're gonna make something way simpler. This one is called SANDSTORM. You probably heard about that one. I'm not gonna play the main melody. We're gonna play the chords. We're gonna be using A minor. We're gonna be using that simplest of simple rhythms. This is how it's gonna start. Now what we're gonna do is highlight all these notes and create a basic triad. A triad means that you have 3 notes playing together. So now what's gonna happen, we're gonna have a little bit of a syncopated rhythm in the melody itself. We are not gonna take the first half of a second bar right here, but we're gonna take these 3 notes and put them up to the D. And these 3 notes, put them to the C, and this one, last one, to the G. We're gonna take these 2 last notes and put them up to the D. Now, what's the theory behind this? When you think about it, it is a very basic melody. And what makes it so memorable is that we still have some connecting notes in that melody. When you look at this, this A is part of this A. So it still stays sort of together. Then it feels like that this is not part of it, but we have 2 same notes right here. So that's why it works. And then this one is basically just connecting these 2 notes together. It just always feels great when you have that going up. And then it just repeats itself to create the tension. Such an easy and beautiful melody. But now let's have a listen to the full one. Next one up, Above and Beyond and Clear Blue Water, one of my all-time favorites. Again, we're gonna go for arpeggiated rhythm, but this time we're gonna be using F Lydian. And we're gonna start with a bit of tension. So we're gonna play the G. Then we're gonna fill out the next 2 notes, again to G. You can copy this, but over here we're gonna skip and put this one right here. To continue, which is gonna create 8 bars, we're gonna start with the bass. A pretty simple bass, just rotates itself up and down. So over here in the last half, we're gonna go to the G, then we go to the A and back to the G. Then we're gonna repeat the same thing, but we're gonna skip this half over here to give it a surprising change. And again, we're gonna go up right here to the A and finish in the G. Well, the melody is gonna do pretty much similar thing, but we're gonna take these 2 notes and these 2 notes and just repeat the pattern. This little change over here is going to give us a little bit of the tension. And of course, you guessed it, if we are in A over here, what will be the great tension note? This one, and then release over here. And let's repeat that one more time. But this time we're gonna take these last 2 notes and shift them up so we get a full chord. I'm gonna just delete this whole thing and repeat it. This is one of my favorite way of creating melodies, and I do that a lot also, where I have the top melody playing while the bass line changes in few ways and few places. But let's have a listen to the full melody. I'm betting you're gonna love this. The next one up follows pretty much the same structure, sort of. Finary 1998. And this one is not made in A minor, it's actually made in a Dorian mode. Let's choose A and Dorian. The only change is that this F is changing to F sharp. So we're gonna start the melody with the A, which is the bass note. Then we're gonna use the chords to create the melody. So the next note would normally be C, but we're gonna go up to the E and then back to the A. So we have these 3 notes, and what we can do is just move them like this to create the basic riff of the melody. And one more note here. So now the whole melody in this track is being built up. We're gonna highlight this and we're gonna shift it up, but not to the B, because, you know, B, I call it the devil's chord, but it's diminished. So it only consists of 6 notes. It doesn't really sound good in trance music. So we're gonna skip it up to the C, and then we're gonna continue over here. And again, 1 note up. But what they did in this melody is absolutely clever. They kept these few notes playing the same melody, except the last bar. It increased the tension before releasing it. How did they continue? Well, for the next one, they chose C as their note over here. So we go C, C, and E, still staying in the chord. This, of course, continued until the next few bars. And then they took this and built it a little bit higher from D to the F sharp. Then here comes the surprising moment. The bottom note here is going to be the note E. Now let's just fix it so it's on the chord. And these notes over here, the middle ones, they're gonna do something very unexpected. They're gonna go up to the B to finish the chord. The only one last little thing that remains is to connect this note over here. So what would be the best way? Either going to the B or to the D. They chose the D because it was closer to the top note. And now you can have a listen to the full melody. This next one is the god of all trance melodies. Out of the Blue by System F. Did you notice how crazy it is that most of the big melodies in trance music in the past were made by Ferry Corsten under all of his aliases? Either it was System F, Ferry Corsten, Goriella, Moonman. There have been so many. As I mentioned, all of these leads are part of my upcoming preset pack for Jupiter 8000. You can pre-order it now on readyformasterclass.com. And what's really strange about this melody is that it's not made in minor scale. It's actually made in major scale. Let's go and check C major. So again, we're using only the white keys. The riff of this melody is very unique and it's different to everything you heard before. It doesn't really stick to like the basics. It's sort of complicated, but again, gives a very nice picture when it's played together. It starts here with the first 3 notes. Then the next note is actually right here, and it continues like this until the end. The second bar is made in a similar way, but these 3 notes move right here to the end, while here we have 1 note played here and 1 note played here. And the melody starts here at E, while the bass plays the C. Even the bass is like completely crazy. Bass plays right here, and then before all these notes, and we can just duplicate it. Except over here, there's a little change. Let's preview. And because it's never enough, we need the final note of this chord. And you know what I said? The trance chords. So we're gonna fill the rest of the notes that we can't see here with a G. So we create a beautiful trance rhythm. Here we go. As in previous Ferry Corsten melodies, the melody is going to build itself up. We're going to take these last 2 notes over here, put them right here. These over here, pull them higher again. This one, instead of A, we're going to go to the B. So it's still part of the chord as if you played like the 4th one. So that should close it all up. Maybe it would be a good idea to fill out the bass notes. I'm gonna take this and just duplicate it, and we're gonna go down to the A. In the next up, we're gonna go again down to the F, and then we're gonna finish up back in the C. Let's just take this so it's a little bit easier to work with. We're gonna keep the tension by staying over here. We need to add these 2 notes over here. These last 2 notes are gonna go a little higher, then we're gonna go back down. So we go down to the G, gonna stay there for a bit, for sort of similar thing over here, but only the 2 notes are going to play here, while these rest of the notes are gonna move. Let me just make them like this so it's easier to see. I think I've missed this one over here when I think about it. This one is gonna go up here. Let's play it because I'm pretty lost. It's so complicated. Then we're gonna go back down to the C. So we have the note over here and like this. And to finish things off, we can just take this whole thing over here, put it right there, 2 notes up, and then finish up right there. Jesus, like this riff is just like absolutely insane. And now we should be ready. Let's play that. In some places we are missing the notes, so we're gonna fill them in. So there is always a note playing, yeah? It's an arpeggiator, so it needs to play. These notes over here, Ferry Corsten decided A would be a better choice, so he plays the same note as over here. The next one, he continues just playing the F, so he can just do it like this. While in the last one, he stays where it is. And now we should have the full melody. It's not 100% correct. I'm gonna make a few modifications here and there, just so you guys can hear the full thing. Now, I promised you in the beginning that I'm going to show you the easy way how you always can make a great melody. You start with a very simple triad. How I continue creating these chords? Well, I'm going to pick the next note from these triad to be my next note. So I'm going to pick, let's say, E. Then I have G, because I don't want to use B at all. So I'm going to go and use the G. The last one, I can use the D. Now I'm going to shift them all down because I don't need this super giant leap. And now I'm just going to take this and put it down so I have a basic triad melody. Now, as I said, I'm going to take these middle notes and use them right up here. So I have my trance chords. Now, how about the melody? I'm gonna use this lead over here, and I'm just gonna click on focus, and let's make a super easy ARP. We're gonna start with a note down here. I'm gonna make the basic riff. Now, what I'm gonna do is to take the next note as my top melody note. So that would be the note E. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Again, I'm using that middle note. And have a listen how this sounds right off the bat. Now, with a little or few changes, you can actually turn this into something really cool. So how about for the next one, we keep it in this E for a while because E is part of it. Then over here, instead of A, we're gonna go up to the F, but we have that D over here. So how about we stick to the D for a little? And over here, what we're gonna do, we can actually go here or we can go here. So let's try it now. Yeah, and you can hear it, like it's always making a really good melody. And the same thing applies if I want to use the note C over here. So I have the C, then I can go up to the E. So I'm building, so I can use these notes over here to connect it. Then over here, I can do something unexpected and go to the G over here, because that's a part of it, and connect it right here. And then I want to go back down, so I'm going to go to this F, and I'm going to make it stand out a little bit more, or I can just go up to the A if I want to from this G, and just keep building the tension, sort of like this, and just leave it going, so the melody just closes itself down. The other way would be to try going down. So maybe we can come right here, close it into that B, or we can just go right here to the C and then to the D. So I have that connection again, and then finish in F while taking these notes right here. And again, another great melody. And because I have these notes always in the end, that's why I moved that one down. You can do whatever you want. Just make sure that you always stick to some sort of root note. So over here, we can keep the tension, actually. We can go crazy and keep tension until we resolve it over here with the E. And again, over here, we can keep the E because we want more tension. And we can then just come over here to the F and then up to the G, resolving it in F. And again, you're gonna get a great melody. So this way you always make a really great melody. Thank you very much for watching till the end, guys. Don't forget that you can download the whole project with all the melodies and the riff MIDIs and the presets right now on my Patreon. And if you want to support me a little bit further, go check out readyformasterclass.com, where I have all the courses for you to learn how to make trance music. Really appreciate it. By the way, if you want to see how some legendary plugs were made, check out this video. And if you want to know more about trance riffs, check this video. Trust me, it's worth it. Thank you very much and see you next time. Ciao.